Welcome to Community Foundation Spotlight. I'm Spicer Bell. I'm the president of the Community Foundation of the Eastern Shore, and this is a special program. We do this program every year, and today we're going to be talking about scholarships, because at the Community Foundation, for the next 6 months, we are in the scholarship business. The person at the Community Foundation that deals with all of our scholarship programs is B.J. Summers. B.J., welcome.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
Oh, glad to have you here. We're going to try to help some local students be able to afford to continue their education. Interesting, BJ, I just did some quick research in preparing for this program, and I ran across a report was done by the College Board, and they're reporting that across the country now, average in-state tuition for public colleges is $8,200 a year, and the full cost of room, board, and tuition and all is $17,000 a year. That's for in-state. If you're going out of state, it's now over $20,000 on average. So the cost of college education has really gone up substantially in recent years.
Absolutely. There's hardly any student that doesn't have some financial need.
Absolutely. So we're going to talk a little bit about some guidelines for folks to how to help them apply for scholarships, and we're going to talk about some specific scholarships they might be interested in. If you're watching, if you have somebody who's a family member who's about to embark on that college career, get them in the room so they can watch this program. How extensive are the Community Foundation's involvement with scholarships, BJ?
Our Community Foundation is very, very involved with scholarships. Last year we gave out 184 scholarships awards to local students, over $200,000. We have a wonderful working relationship with the guidance offices of all 3 county high schools. So we serve we provide a real service in that area to folks that want to look for both scholarship donors and young people that want to look for scholarships.
It's a lot of money. Now I expect this year we'll award probably maybe over $250,000 in scholarships.
Yes, we will.
Where's that money come from?
That money comes from donors who, for a variety of reasons, have decided that they want to help young people get scholarships.
Great. And it's a good investment in those young people and the future of our community.
Yes, it is.
It really is.
Yes, it is.
Well, let's start with if somebody's watching and they have a family member who might be interested in a scholarship, how did they find a Community Foundation scholarship?
First of all, many of ours, in fact, most of our scholarships are administered through the 3 county high school guidance offices. The first place I would go if I was a student is to their guidance counselor. They have lists of all scholarships available. We provide them with lists of our scholarships, and the one nuance to a Community Foundation scholarship is that it is a permanent. If it was there last year in a book, if it was there available through a guidance office, it's there this year. That's the first place I would go. All of our scholarships are listed on our website. You go into the scholarship portion of the website, you look for your county, you look for your school, then there's, at the end, it's called all scholarships. These could be other scholarships that maybe don't fit quite in the school atmosphere. We have a link with Delmarva Education Foundation. You can go to their website, and if you're specifically interested in Community Foundation scholarships, link over to us.
Yeah, and it's pretty amazing the number of scholarships that are out there. So it does require some due diligence for young people and their families to seek them out. But I read some statistics recently about the mounting debt of students when they graduate from college. It's not uncommon for them to graduate with $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in debt. And one way to cut that debt down is start early, get those scholarships, and that cuts into those loans. Can you give some examples of some of the scholarships that are available through the Community Foundation?
The first one I will talk about is a scholarship that is new. Well, it's new to us. It is not a new scholarship, called the John Delaney Memorial Scholarship. This scholarship's been floating around Wicomico County for several years. It has been given and not given. It was administered through a family foundation. They finally came to the conclusion that this was not their area of expertise. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of due diligence involved. So they made a decision to dissolve the family foundation and turn over the money management and the scholarship administration to us. It's a scholarship that will benefit all 4 Wicomico County high schools. This year we will give each high school 2 $1,000 scholarships to give away. And this will be a permanent endowment fund, so from here on we will be administering the John Delaney Scholarship.
So John Delaney Scholarship is in a situation now where it's going to be 8 scholarships a year,
Right.
as, in the foreseeable future. And the Delaney family, long-standing, very prominent
Right.
family here in Wicomico County, particularly in Fruitland.
Right.
Many years ago they had canning factories and things like that in the Fruitland area. I'm sure many of our viewers
Right.
will remember them. But this is going to be a great way to, it's a great way their memory is being continued,
Right.
and that they're contributing to the community. So,
Yes.
so well, great. And so if a student is interested in a Delaney Scholarship, they go see their guidance counselor.
They go see their guidance counselor, or they can go to our website, because the application is on our website.
On the website.
It's on
Okay.
our website.
Now, another big scholarship program you work with is the Elizabeth Brittingham Pusey
Yes,
Scholarship.
I'm sure there's someone out there who has not heard this story, so I would be remiss not to share. Several years ago, we received a phone call from a lawyer who had a client who was doing their estate plan and was thinking about a scholarship. She was a very modest living woman, did not have children of her own, and she decided to give us a try, see how she liked us, by making a small contribution to the Community Foundation for a scholarship for a student in Wicomico County.
And she wanted it anonymous.
She
didn't want
wanted
anybody
it,
to know
right.
that she
did
was
not
she
want
was
anybody
doing this.
to know she
Sure.
was doing this. So the first year she gave us a small enough so that we were able to give one $750 scholarship to one high school. In subsequent years, she obviously liked us because she continued to put money in the fund, but continued to want to remain anonymous. No one at the foundation ever met her in person. We spoke to her on the phone. She reiterated she did not want anybody to know she was the donor, but was very grateful for what we were doing.
Yeah, I remember one of those phone calls when I was fairly early on in my career at the foundation. In the spring we had awarded, I think at that point, 4 or 5 scholarships, and I called her and told her where the students were going to school and what have you. And I remember she says, now you're not telling anybody who's doing this. I said, no, ma'am, I'm not. I said, but it's very generous of you, and you deserve to be thanked, and I'm thanking you. And she says, well, she says, well, I appreciate that.
Yes,
she said. And
she did appreciate.
She was a very generous lady.
She was generous. Well, at the time of when she passed, we received notification that we had been placed in her will. A bequest for us was in her will. Never dreaming what would happen, and that was that she left her entire estate to her scholarship fund, which is now the largest scholarship fund for Wicomico County students.
And you will expect to award how many scholarships
We
from
will
that fund this year?
expect to award 3, 6, 9, 10 to local Wicomico County students, and we allocate $10,000 for Warwick Community College.
And each of those scholarships is a 4-year renewable scholarship,
right.
which is good for a total of $6,000, correct?
Yes, it's good for, so up to this date, we have already awarded 72 scholarships out of that fund, totaling over $100,000.
Yeah. So once it's in full swing and we have people renew, if everybody renews, we'll end up with 40, 50 people on scholarship at that one fund each.
One fund each year. This scholarship is, the high schools are delighted because the scholarship application is relatively easy. The student is expected to be in the top 10% of their class. The high school guidance, or the high school scholarship selection committees choose the recipients. And then I work with them to get the information from them and to them for the scholarship.
Now, a number of our scholarships like that, that's a more, and the agreement with Miss Pusey was after her passing we could make it public. So that is the Elizabeth Brittingham Pusey Scholarship.
Yes.
Very generous of her. I mean, she's going to make a difference in the lives of generations of young people.
Thousands
Yeah,
of young
she really
people.
will.
Sure.
But a number of the scholarships are memorial scholarships.
Mm-hmm.
They're a way of memorializing and remembering a loved one. Can you
Right.
give some examples of those?
Some examples, first example I think of is the Herb and Ann Fincher Scholarship. It was established as the Herb Fincher Memorial Scholarship. The funding for that began with memorial contributions that came to the foundation when he passed. His wife, Ann, over the years continued to contribute, and after several years decided that it was time to memorialize Herb with a scholarship. The scholarship was set up to benefit a student who is a math or science major. It rotates. It's a 4-year scholarship, $6,000. It rotates between the 4 Wicomico County high schools. This year, a student at Parkside High School will be the recipient.
Okay, great. Other memorial scholarships?
We have a memorial scholarship that was set up by the family of Dr. Joe Badros several years ago. This scholarship is for a student in Wicomico, Worcester, or Somerset County. It is a $2,000 a year scholarship, but the student can reapply. They will be put in the pool with other applicants. They can reapply for 4 years. We have a scholarship that just a few years ago that was set up in memory of a young man who died, who was a wrestler in the county. His wife and family wanted to leave a legacy for him. His name was Donald Lefty Schul, and he was very, very involved in wrestling programs. This scholarship can be for a student in Worcester, Wicomico, or Somerset County. They don't have to have wrestled in high school. They simply have to have been involved with a county or high school wrestling team.
Neat. Very good. So certainly some of the scholarships are somewhat unique.
Most of them,
way.
especially memorial scholarships, because I think the family members want to memorialize their loved one by including something about the person, putting in a nuance that reflects that legacy.
Now, we've talked about college, but a number of students go on to career and technology schools.
Yes,
Are there
they
scholarships for them?
We have right now 2 scholarships for the Parkside Career and Technology. One is the Gregory Taylor Scholarship. He was a young man who passed away, at least 15 years ago, and he was in the welding program. So this scholarship is for a student who is going on into a welding program. And we have the George and Jerry Bauer Scholarship. Similar, someone who's going on into either the automotive technology or welding program.
Great. So it's not unique just to college.
Right.
So, you work a lot with Warwick.
Yes.
And when somebody looks at our annual report, they'll see a lot of Warwick scholarships there for students who are going to continue their education there. Tell us about some of those.
Most of the Warwick scholarships are very unique from our other scholarship program in that they are created and established through the Warwick Community College Foundation. The money comes to the Community Foundation. We are the fiscal agent. They choose the recipients. However, we are having more donors who are very interested in helping support students who go to community college. So we have had several donors who have come to us specifically to set up a scholarship with their own criteria to benefit students at Warwick.
Great. It really is a great partnership. You're watching Community Foundation Spotlight. I'm Spicer Bell. I'm the president of Community Foundation of the Eastern Shore. My guest is B.J. Summers. BJ's on our staff, and we're talking scholarships today. It's that time of year where families and young people are thinking about continuing their education and putting together a package of scholarship money so they can afford college is very, very important. So stay tuned. We're going to give some folks some pointers on how best to access some of that money. Let's talk about that, BJ. What advice do you give students in terms of how best to access that scholarship money?
I think the first advice I have to them is to start early and to apply often. That is really, really the strongest advice. Another piece of advice that I give them, local students, is that to start looking at local scholarships. and specifically scholarships that benefit students at their own high school. The pool is smaller. Many times the application process is easier. It isn't as daunting as some of the other scholarships. Community Foundation scholarships, as I've said, are permanent. If they look at any of our scholarships, they know it's there. I think there's frustration sometimes with students and parents and even guidance offices because they spend time calling and asking or writing to see if scholarship is still available. Some scholarships that are established go away and the information doesn't go away. So they know that if they look at our website and look at a scholarship that we offer, it's there for them.
I always love to share the story. My favorite story relative to that is the Federalsburg Rotary Scholarship. And every year we award a student to Colonel Richardson High School a scholarship in the name of the Federalsburg Rotary Club. And that's a Rotary Club that closed now about 10 years ago.
Right.
And they had created this fund when the club was active, turned the money over to us, and we're still doing that on their behalf. So it's kind of, and of course that's over in Caroline County.
Right.
You have scholarships that go to Dorchester County also.
Right.
We focus in Somerset, Wycombe, and Cowichan,
Right.
but your reach gets well into Caroline.
We are expanded, right. We have a scholarship that benefits a student in Cambridge,
South Dorchester.
High School, Lake Forest High School, Colonel Richardson High School, and
we're actually in the process of settling an estate now that will be scholarships that will go to Indian River and Sussex Central High School.
And we have established a scholarship. We may not do an award this year, but it is for a high school in Ohio.
Yeah, I mean, we may have viewers who are here who would like to maybe do a scholarship back at their alma mater, and alma mater, maybe Ohio or something like that, and we would be glad to work with them to set that up. While our focus is right here in Somerset, Wycombe, and Cowichan County, we really work on behalf of those donors. So it's an opportunity for them to reach back to. Let's go back to other suggestions for students. There's some things that they're going to need to have in front of them when they apply for scholarships. And I always tell them to make sure you assemble all that information early and keep it in one place. They're going to need their transcripts. Going to need their standardized test scores. They're going to need their financial aid form, that FAFSA, F-A-F-S-A, which is the federal financial aid score thing. They need financial information from their parents. They'll need at least one essay, so they might as well spend some time up front and work on that. One or more letters of recommendations. And they're going to need proof of eligibility. Some of the scholarships only go to folks who are related to that organization. So, but the students ought to assemble all that early on. They ought to be doing it now.
They should be doing it now.
And so that as they apply for scholarships over the next couple of months, it's handy and they can really expedite that process. Because most scholarship deadlines are when? Late March, early April?
Yes. Most of them are late March, early April.
Another thing that's important is for students to read the eligibility requirements very carefully. Sometimes students will kind of use the scattergun approach, apply to every scholarship, but some they just clearly aren't eligible for. It might say, it's only going to be for students attending a college on the Eastern Shore, and all the colleges they've applied for are in North Carolina or something.
Yes.
So they're wasting their effort with that. Other suggestions?
And on that note of eligibility, also don't be intimidated by the process, because there are many scholarships that the application process is relatively easy. The most you might have to do is have letters of recommendation. Don't be daunted by the process, and apply for anything that you feel you might be qualified for. Don't think that you will not receive a scholarship. Because there are scholarships out there that get few applicants.
Absolutely. You know, I think it's important. You know, and I sit on my Rotary Club Scholarship Committee, and we will typically in a given year we'll get 30, 40 applications for scholarships, and students need to really proofread their application very, very carefully. They need to make sure they don't leave anything blank.
Right.
That they make sure it's absolutely easily legible and understood, because you know somebody sitting there on one of these scholarship committees might be looking at 20, 30, 40 scholarships.
Absolutely.
And the one that's neat and easy to read and filled out completely is probably going to get more consideration than one that where there's some blanks and that sort of thing. And I regret we have to remind people of that, but it's an important lesson for young people who are serious about getting some of this money.
And make copies.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a very simple thing, but in many cases they forget to make a copy.
Yeah. So.
And they don't keep things.
Well, and you make
recorded.
a copy because that same information may be needed on
Right.
the very next scholarship
Right.
application.
Yeah.
And if you've got a copy, it's easy to complete the next application, certainly. We're talking scholarships today. It's that time of year at the Community Foundation. We expect to award close to $250,000 in scholarships to local students this year. And we want to make that process as easy, as user-friendly as possible, so listen up. Where's the scholarship money come from?
Scholarship money.
Excuse me, I got to stop.
Okay.
Tom, I got
That's good because I missed that cut anyway.
Okay.
I was debating whether or not this.
I just.
Water.
If I don't get rid of this mess hanging in my throat, I might as well die.
It'll go away on what would that date be? The 18th?
18th, it might, yeah.
I'll pick it up from.
I'm going to go back to where's the money come from.
Didn't you already ask me that question?
We'll do it again.
Okay.
What motivates donors?
Okay.
BJ, where's the scholarship money come from? What motivates donors to make scholarship money available?
Scholarship money comes from either individual donors or businesses or service clubs who want, number one, want to make a difference. In the case of individual donors, in many cases it's because they have the desire to memorialize or honor a loved one. In some cases, because scholarship funds are becoming a much more popular philanthropic program, people want to leave their own legacy. And scholarships are a way for them to have the gratification now of seeing someone benefit from their generosity.
And we've certainly seen some folks that'll establish a scholarship fund during their lifetime.
Right.
To get that pleasure.
Right.
I mean, you take the Greenlee Scholarship
Right.
up at North Carolina High School. You know, Bill is involved every year, and I mean, he takes great pride in the success of those scholarship recipients. He follows them.
He follows them.
And I know they correspond back to him, and he's given a lot, but he's gotten a lot from that.
Right.
But often folks start during their lifetime, and they'll leave part of their estate to that scholarship
Right.
program
They
to
do.
continue
And they look
it.
forward to that, and they enjoy receiving that personal thank you from an actual person, a student who has benefited. And most of these students are really good about making sure that they acknowledge the gift or the grant, and that it's personal. It's very personal to these donors.
A student who wins one of these scholarships, the money is going to the college to
Right.
offset their college part,
Right.
but the student is informed as to who the source of where the money came from, and as you said, it's an opportunity for that donor to get that feedback.
Right. It's personal.
Which is great.
Yeah.
So, why the Community Foundation? I guess, I mean, if I wanted a scholarship fund, I could start writing checks myself. Well, why should I do the Community Foundation?
Well, you could, and many people do.
They do.
Why the Community Foundation? Well, I could go on for a long time on that. But the first thing is it's permanent. These scholarship funds are set up as endowment funds that will be there forever. And it's a benefit to the donors, and it's also a benefit to the students. It's a benefit to the institutions of higher learning and the high schools, because they know these are permanent endowment funds. It's leaving a legacy. Even if it's leaving a legacy, your own legacy, that's a very important factor. We have, I mean, not to toot our own horn, but we have a very professional, streamlined process for what we do. When a donor comes to us, we help them to fit his desires into the process of scholarship. The gratification from a donor to know that every year he doesn't have to do the work, but he gets the gratification of knowing that his generosity is reaching young people.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I've lost my train of thought. Boy, Tom, I'm having it. It is Friday the 13th. Cut.
Whatever you want, sir.
Okay.
Are we almost done?
We're
Okay.
close.
Oh, we got 5 minutes.
Oh.
I want to get to the alumni associations.
Can someone set up a scholarship for the high school or college alma mater?
Yeah, there was something else you said that prompted me to want to ask something else, and then I lost it that quick. So, okay, well, let's go to, we've been talking about, okay, here we go. BJ, we've been talking about individuals or families or businesses establishing scholarships. Community Foundation sponsors some scholarships for alumni associations also, don't you?
Yes, we do. We have a very active alumni at Wicomico High School. We have, over the years, established the Y High class of 39, 55, 63, and most recently, the class of 1961 has come to us and established a scholarship. This one is unique because they don't quite have the $10,000 that it takes as a minimum for an endowment, which will then spin off an award. They have a few $1,000s and they plan to do a build-a-fund. So they're going to contact their alumni. They're going to have a couple fundraisers. They're going to get that built up to the $10,000 so they too can be in that alumni club at Y High. So there's a challenge.
And we've got other
there.
high schools and certainly other classes
Right.
out there. And some of them have done scholarship, but it's a great way for a class when they have those reunions every 5 years or 10 years to gradually build up that and give back to young people who are following in their footsteps.
Right. And for those donors who are interested in setting up a scholarship for their alumni college, that's a very simple process. We right now have a scholarship fund that benefits McDaniel College. We simply send a check once a year on behalf of the donor, and they use that to provide scholarships for students there at McDaniel College.
And that's done in the name of that donor who happens to be a Western Maryland McDaniel alum.
Right.
So lots of permutations. I mean, I think if we have some viewers here wondering how they can give back to the community, scholarships is a great way to do it. It's fairly straightforward. We can really streamline the process for them. It's just a matter of them calling us and sitting down with you or Erica or myself, and we can get them in the scholarship business pretty quickly, and they can really be helping some young people. We've talked about a lot about individuals. Can businesses do scholarships?
Businesses do scholarships. We set up a scholarship 2 years ago for Sure Federal Savings and Loan. This one was to honor a former board member. It's for a student at Pocomoke High School. And it's for Sure Federal's way to give back to that community, and it's also a good way to market the philanthropy of a business.
Right. So, well, BJ, I'm sure folks here at PAC 14 they're going to show that website address on the screens, www.cfes.org. We'll make sure they put your name on there because you'd be the primary contact for scholarships. But of course, if somebody calls, almost anybody on our staff can talk them through the process. As we come to a close here, any parting words of wisdom for people who either want to start a scholarship or students who want to find money for college?
Well, as I said at the beginning of the program, I think the first place for these students, if they're in high school, to go to is their guidance office, or go to our website, or go to the Delmarva Education Foundation website as a resource. If you are a donor who's thinking about wanting to leave your own legacy, start a scholarship fund, call the foundation, set up a meeting with myself or you or Erica. We can walk you through the process. It's very easy. You can take your time, think about what you want to give back, and
We'll make it happen.
we'll make it happen.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes, we will.
It's one of the most rewarding parts of the work that we do.
It is.
You know, we typically write those scholarship checks in July. They go to colleges, and of course I get the pleasure of signing all those checks. But I sit there and sign, you know, a couple $100,000 worth of checks that are going to help young people from our community continue their education.
Right.
And it helps improve their earning power, and over a lifetime, many of them come right back to this community or never leave this community,
Right.
and they contribute to the community in untold ways. So it's a great pleasure.
It's a win-win.
It is, absolutely, but we know we're doing that on behalf of our donors.
Right.
That's the real important thing that we have to communicate.
Right. It's our job, and it's something that we love to do.
Yeah, it's a passion.
It is. It is.
It really is. We're pleased to be able to share some of our passion with you today. We're talking about Community Foundation of the Eastern Shore. We're shining the spotlight on ourselves a little bit today because we're talking about our scholarship programs. This year, the Community Foundation will award in the neighborhood about $250,000 of scholarships to local students to allow them to continue their education. We can only do that because of the generosity over almost 3 decades of our donors who have contributed to the Community Foundation, created funds that they then allow us to administer to provide these scholarships. So our message for, if you have anybody in your family who's getting ready to start college, they ought to check out our website to see if there's scholarship aid that we can provide them. And if you've ever considered a way that you'd like to find a way that you can give back to your community, give B.J. Summers, give me a call at the Community Foundation. Let us show you how you can create your own scholarship fund that will benefit young people in our community for generations to come. BJ, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Great.
I'll see you next year.
Yeah, absolutely, and good luck with those scholarships this year. I know you're going to be very busy.
Yes, I will be very busy.
And thank you for watching Community Foundation Spotlight and taking the time to learn about what we do and the scholarship programs that the Community Foundation provides for our community. And we thank you for watching PAC 14.
All right, Spicer, if I can get you to look at BJ for me, nice smile, listening.
Both of us or you?
Well, I'm just doing Spicer first,
Oh, okay.
just so if I need to cover anything, BJ, nice smile, then with Spicer listening to him.
It's the
He's saying some nice
bobblehead segment.
things. He's saying
This
some
is,
nice things
do we
about
bobble?
You-
Thank you, thank you.
Don't bobble, don't bobble. Nice smile's good. Just look at Spicer, because right now he's saying he's Spicer Bell.
He is.
But don't talk, please.
And when you were a little late, I was saying if you didn't get here, I was going to fire you.
Spicer, I just need enough to cover you saying with me is BJ Summers, and she is the head of the scholarship committee for the Community Foundation.
Whatever, okay.
Is that how it appears on the screen? How do you want?
She is a scholarship coordinator.
All right, scholarship coordinator.
She's actually our donor relations officer, but you could put scholarship coordinator.
Donor relations officer. Okay.
It's other duties as assigned. So.
All right. Thank you.
We've heard that before.
She's the scholarship diva.
Diva, troublemaker / troublemaker.